Hi, my name is Bob Champy, and I'm a psychotherapist and author of the book When to Call a Therapist, Expanded Edition. Today, I'd like to talk about the structure of our personality, what some people call the psyche, and it originated with Sigmund Freud, who came up with a concept of what he thought made our personality and how we interact with other people and the world. So many of you may remember that in your high school classes or maybe college classes in psychology, you've heard of these three components of the personality, and it's called the id, the ego, and the superego. All right. So what does that mean? So Freud thought that right from birth, we the id is a part of the infant's psyche. And what does the id do? The id wants something when it wants it, and it wants it now. And it's designed to get the baby what he needs, because this is pre-language and the baby can't communicate its needs. So it might cry, it'll be cranky, and a mother will see this and wonder, well, what's going on? Maybe I'll hold the baby because the baby wants to be held now. Maybe the baby's hungry because the baby, if he or she is hungry, wants to be fed now. And or maybe the diaper needs to be changed. It needs to be changed now. So the id is an impulse uh, through the baby to signal to its caregivers that it needs something, but it needs it right now. And that's very important to remember, because not only is it in children, babies, children, but it's carried right through to adulthood, which I will talk about in a minute. So the id really wants what it wants, and it wants it now. It's for self preservation, and it's just something that will bring attention to the baby so the baby can get its needs met. Another structure that Freud posited is the the structure of the superego. And what is the superego? The superego is our moral compass. The superego is what's saying, well, you shouldn't do that. That's not good. You're going to get in trouble. It's not moral. It's not right. And the superego is like an authoritative figure, a parent, you could say even a police officer, if you will, that polices, the things that we do, and it tries to impart, you know, for us to think about what we're doing. Is it right? Is it wrong? And it kind of is the opposite of the id. So where the id says, I want it and I want it now, the superego is saying, wait a minute, I don't know, I don't think you should have it. It's just not right, it's not good, it's too much. The third structure that Freud came up with is the ego. And the ego kind of sits in between the id and the superego, and it mitigates both. So where the id is wanting, wanting, wanting now, and where the superego is saying, nope, you can't do it, you can't, nope, it's not allowed, the ego takes a look at it and looks at the situation and says, well, maybe you can't have it all now, but I wouldn't say you couldn't have it at all. And so one example is someone is of the superego is someone's in a meeting, and the meeting is going on for an hour or so, and all of a sudden the person starts to feel hungry. And what's the person going to do? Now the id is saying, I want to eat now, and I'm going to go get food now. But we know we can't just run out of a meeting. The the superego is saying, well, you can't have it, and that's that. And then the ego will say, well, listen, this meeting's going to be over soon, and then I'll get something to eat when the meeting is completed. So, we can't run out of the room because our id wants to. We're not going to get, we're not going to deprive ourselves of food, but the ego says we're going to do it. We're going to delay gratification, and we're going to get something to eat shortly. And there we have this homeostasis. Here we have this balance. Imagine running out of the room and saying to somebody, I need a donut. I need to eat something. And that could get a person in trouble. And if the superego is too harsh, the person may say, "I'm not going to, eat at all. It's just, not even going to think about it." But the ego is in between, and the ego is going to say, "We're going to get it soon, and everything will be okay." Freud likened the id to a wild horse, and the horse will go running, you know, clear across the countryside, but he said that the ego will help tame the horse enough to get it under control. And so the id is a riderless horse, and the ego is helping to manage the id. Another example might be you're on a diet and it's a hot summer day and you feel like some ice cream. And your id is going, I want some and I want some now. And I really want to have it. But you're on this diet. And so what do? The superego's coming in and the superego's saying, no, 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 you can't have it at all. Nope, it's bad for you. You're on a diet. You're gonna have too much. You're gonna break your diet. But then the ego comes in and says, well, wait a minute. You know, what if you had some but not a lot? And what if you didn't eat it all the time? Could you have a little bit? And so, that way, then the needs of the id get satisfied, but not as much as it would want. The superego has to loosen up a little bit and say, well, it's a hot summer day, and you know, I feel like a little ice cream. And here's where the ego comes in and says, listen, guys, it's okay if you have some, but we won't get a double scoop. We'll get maybe a small, cup of ice cream. So if we give into our ego drive, we're going to eat the two scoops of ice cream, and we're probably going to feel really guilty later. And maybe that might push us off our diet. On the other hand, the superego, is very, very strict, saying no, 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 don't have it, don't have it, and then we wind up depriving ourselves of things that make life worth living. And so that's where the ego comes in. The ego will try to balance the two, and that would be the homeostasis. That would be a perfect scenario. But how many adults act like children and say, "I want it, and I want it now, and I'm not going to wait another minute, and I have to have it now." And so even adults can their id can take over, and some people are very, very moralistic and no, 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 I can't do that and I can't do this, and that then really shrinks a person's world because now they won't allow themselves any pleasure at all. And so the ego comes in, and it's a matter of what's called ego strength. And if we have good ego strength, we know how to balance the out of control id like qualities, and we know how to loosen up the superego. And that ego strength is, can mitigate and be the balance between the two. So if we have good ego strength, we have good self-control, and we can navigate the world that way. But some people are very, very strict on themselves, and it's always a guilty feeling or even shame if they do something wrong. Other people just they have no moral compass, and they just go for whatever they want. So I hope this shed a little light on these interesting words, the id, the superego, and the ego, and their positioning in our psyche and how it works when we are with people, when we are navigating through the world, and we're trying to, at the same time, take care of ourselves and not be too far with the no, no, you can't have it, you can't have it ever, versus the I want it all and I want it now. And if we have good ego strength, we can be in the middle of the two, uh, and live a psychically harmonious life. I hope that was helpful. Thank you for watching.